Okay, well, it's 7 o'clock sharp, and we really appreciate everyone connecting on time tonight. We're going to get this started, and it's my pleasure to be able to kick things off tonight on our bi-weekly um, wellness team call. We had the chance a couple of weeks ago to hear from Dr. Cesar Fernandez. Tonight, we're going to have the pleasure to listen to Dr. Jeremy Thornton. Both of them are just incredible product advocates of our BioMS products, which many of us were just in love with, right? And we've been using and shared with our friends, with our contacts, and are just making a difference around the world. However, tonight, we're gonna have the pleasure to listen to Dr. Thornton talk about something that Dave Webb kind of refers to as probably the best kept secret here at VIDAFY, and that is our symbiotic product, Synbiofy. I'm saying it how they say it down in Mexico, Synbiofy. And so we're going to listen to Dr. Thornton talk a little bit about the best kept secret here at VIDAFY. I tell you, I love Synbiofy, and I just got back from Prague. We were there for about 10 days, and I don't know how, if you guys, if you have the same issues. Sometimes when you travel, you're eating out on the road, eating in restaurants. Look, I'm not complaining. It was wonderful food. But the truth is that it just doesn't treat you like good old home cooked food, and so I am so happy to be home. And the first thing I did, because unfortunately when I left my box of Synbiofy here at home, and so when I came back, that was the first thing I did was take some Synbiofy for the past couple of days, and it has been heaven. And just very, very happy to have that back in my regimen and taking that on a daily basis again. Tonight, like I said, we're going to be listening to Dr. Jeremy Thornton. I just want to give him a brief intro. Many of you have listened to him before. You've heard him talk about our BioMS products, probably about Symbiofi as well. And he's somebody that talks from the heart. He's somebody as well that has been using our products now for, I believe, just over 2 years. And during that time has used it both personally as well as sharing it with his business associates. But what I love are the experience that he has together with his patients, both locally there in Missouri as well as around, literally around the world. Dr. Thornton, many of you probably have heard him online, heard him through Facebook. He has contacts literally around the world that reach out to him for advice on their health and wellness. And we just feel so fortunate to have him, first of all, fall in love with our products and share those products together with his patients. And then about, let's see, I think it was just at the beginning of the year. Well, actually, towards the end of last year, we entered conversations with him about being a member of our wellness team here at VIDAFY, which really has just the purpose of sharing more about wellness. Obviously, teaching about our products, sharing more about them and how they can be integrated into a wellness regimen. But what I love about Dr. Thornton, as well as Dr. Gabet and Dr. Fernandez, each one of them knows that wellness goes far beyond just a single product. It goes far beyond just even just supplements. It goes into health practices, goes into our habits, etc. And they are just all about teaching and sharing of their knowledge so that we all can benefit and enjoy wellness in our lives. So just very grateful, Dr. Jeremy, to have you on board on our wellness team, and tonight to be able to listen to you talk about Synbiofy and the blessing of symbiotics in our life. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you now at this time, Jeremy.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. And Dave, could you bring up just a picture of everybody first, just the view where we can see all those pretty faces in the gallery? Is that possible to do? Let's see here. I might be able to do that. Oh, there we go. All right. Awesome. Welcome, guys. I love to be able to see everybody because otherwise I just look at myself and look at Shane, and he's good looking, but I want to look at everybody. And first off, I want to just ask how many on here, I'm going to scroll back and forth through the pages here, have already tried our BioMS curcumin. Could you raise your hand if you can? So have you tried our curcumin product? Put your hand up and leave it up for me just a second. I'm going to scroll back forth a couple of the pages so I can see on my laptop here. Awesome. And how many are also using our Synbiofy product? Could you raise your hand? All right. I'd say less than half, just my guesstimation, looking back and forth on the pages, less than half of you are also trying the Symbiofi. And I believe after tonight's talk, that's going to change. When I first got started, I thought Symbiofi was just a probiotic, right? Has anybody heard that? It's a probiotic. So much more than that. Really, Symbiofi is a complete gut health restoration product, right? Does that sound better than a probiotic? We've all heard about probiotics, right? Everybody's has one, everybody's seen one, taken one. This is so much more than a probiotic, okay? It's a complete gut reset program, really. And so frame this product in those ways rather than doing what I did at first and just thought, oh, it's just another probiotic, because it certainly is not that. And so I'm going to convince you, hopefully, by the end of tonight's short presentation, that practically every health condition, disease process, symptom, poor health begins in the gut. Okay, you're going to be surprised at the number of health issues begin in the gut, and sadly, a lot of times are not treated in the gut. Right. So if you come into my office and let's say you have an autoimmune condition, we're going to talk about your gut. Okay, you come in with a cardiovascular condition, we are going to focus on your gut. You come in with hormone imbalance, you come in with blood sugar imbalance, you come in with skin problems, you come in with focus issues or cognitive challenges, we're going to talk about your gut. And if we do not start there, we're doing first the patient a disservice, and likely we are going to continue to spin our wheels on our health journey, right? Because we are not getting to the core. We're not getting to the root cause, which just about every single time is the gut. We're not giving specific diagnosis or specific medical recommendations. This is for informational purposes. If you have any of the following conditions that we talk about or symptoms, make sure you talk about this with your licensed healthcare provider, okay? We always have to cover that. So Synbiofy, sometimes I call it Synbiofy. I don't know what the proper pronunciation is, but I usually call it Synbiofy, is really a synergistic advanced formula. And really that's where the name begins, right? So we're going to talk tonight about prebiotics, and we're going to talk about probiotics, and we're going to talk about symbiotics, and we are going to talk about postbiotics. Those are some things that maybe you haven't heard about or talked about before that we're going to cover tonight. So symbiotics are just simply a product that contains both, right? The probiotics as well as the prebiotics that are designed to maintain good health of our intestinal microbiota, right? So the name Synbiofy comes, symbio is the pre and probiotic synergy, right? And the phi comes from VIDAFY, so Synbiofy. And so a prebiotic, I'm going to move people around here just a little bit so I can see my screen, are specialized plant fibers. Okay, they act as fertilizers to our good bugs, right? To our friendly bacteria, and they support and they grow and they help proliferate our good bugs. So first off, VIDAFY, the Synbiofy, excuse me, contains an amazing fiber blend. 9 different plant fibers are contained in Synbiofy, 670 milligrams of these separate fibers right here: chicory and prickly pear and rice bran and flax and oat fiber and apple fiber and plum fruit, guar seed, Jamaica flower. I've never seen a single product that had this many different prebiotics contained within. Usually I've seen prebiotic products that had 1 or 2. We have 9 in this special formula. So those are amazing, right? They're the fertilizer. They help support our.
Okay, looks like we've lost Dr. Thornton there for a minute. We're going to see if we can get him back on and going again. You know, one thing that he was talking about there, and I just want to give a little history as we talk about Synbiofy. Many of you, Synbiofy is actually a product that we launched about 3 years ago, and it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I believe it was October of 2020, if I remember right. And one of the main reasons why we decided to launch the product was because of the health benefits, in particular in your gut for your immune system. We launched it to, obviously, it was right at the time when everyone was more concerned about just getting that edge right on our immune system, and just making sure that we are avoiding any potential issues. And we had a product at the time that was a little more focused on it was more of a cleanse product, however, we knew that we needed to combine that product together with probiotics and prebiotics in more of a symbiotic relationship. And I'm sure Dr. Thornton's going to go into more detail once he's back on and ready to go. But the relationship between the prebiotics and the probiotics is so important, because you have those probiotics, which we all know are important for our gut health, but you've got to feed them, right? And you've got to have those prebiotics there. And so there's a reason why we chose those 9 prebiotics that he's talking about right now, because they're very potent prebiotics, which is essentially food for the probiotics, right? And it strengthens the probiotics in our gut, both the ones that we already have, as well as the ones that we add to the environment through our Synbiofy product. And so you get the benefit of both by adding in that additional prebiotics, which once again is just, it's fiber, soluble fiber, that is food for the probiotics, and helps to strengthen that gut bacteria, that gut fauna and flora that we all need. And so just to give a little background there on when we rolled out that product, it was actually the second version, our initial version that we launched back in 2016 was a cleanse product. The Synbiofy included additional benefits of that original formula, and we added in the probiotics, we added in magnesium, and we added in a few more of the prebiotics to give it. And so you do have some of the elements of a cleanse in there, in some of those prebiotics that he's mentioned, and in the herbal ingredients as well in Synbiofy that help to cleanse your system, in addition to the gut health that you get from the prebiotics and probiotics. I'm going to share a little bit about what I love about the product, and once again, just my personal experience with Synbiofy. I mentioned earlier about there's all kinds of products on the market. Some of them are cleanse products. Some products on the market are more probiotics. And then sometimes you have fiber products, etc. Synbiofy includes elements of each one of those. It includes the herbal benefits for a cleanse. It's not an intense cleanse. It's one that functions in connection and harmony with your body. And then it also has elements of fiber, but it's not a fiber supplement. It's a lower quantity of fiber that has the purpose of feeding those probiotics that are part of the formula as well. And so the whole goal of Synbiofy, the whole purpose and aim, is to improve our gut health. And what I love about Synbiofy is that it works totally in harmony with your body. I've had, and maybe many of you have as well, I've tried different cleanse products, fiber supplements, probiotic products, etc., that tend to be very aggressive on my system. Synbiofy is not that way at all. It works in harmony with your body. When I take it, then my gut just functions normally, and it actually helps me to feel lighter, less bloated, and just with more energy. And so I love taking Synbiofy. I see messages in the chat here as well mentioning that we have that many people love to take it in connection with our BioMS products based on curcumin, which is a wonderful way to take it because curcumin also has incredible benefits for our gut health. So it looks like Dr. Thornton's connecting back on. Jeremy, how are we doing? You back on? You got a good connection?
I think we're back. You know, you got to love technology when it works, right? Apologize about that. So we were talking about the 5 billion colony-forming units of lactobacillus and lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidobacterium longum. And I think this important thing about a probiotic is it needs to show its colony-forming units, right? There's a lot of things that say they're a probiotic. They claim they have these species of bacteria in there, but they don't show any dosage, right? And this is a solid dose of these very beneficial probiotics. And so when we talk about the human microbiota, that sounds very sciencey, right? But the human body is made up of approximately 70 trillion cells. About 30 of those are human, and about 40 trillion are microbial. So by that measure, we're only about 43% human. Okay? The rest of us is bacteria. Okay, that's crazy to think of. I'll just drop this right here. All right, so the gut microbiota is the community of the living microorganisms residing in your intestines. Okay, that's simply what our microbiota is. So 40 trillion cells, bacteria, or 40 trillion bacteria cells that live in the gut produce metabolites. Things like the postbiotics, and there are various proteins and amino acids, that's what I was looking for, produced by these bacteria. 70 to 80% of the body's immune cells are concentrated in the intestine. Can you believe that? 70 to 80%. That is huge. Can we have an effective and healthy immune system if we have a poor gut? Absolutely not. So we have 100 million neurons that are located throughout the gut. That's a lot of neurons that produce various neurotransmitters that regulate mood and satiety. Have you heard people talk about the gut being the second brain? Have you heard that before? It's so very true, our gut being our second brain. And did you know that 95% of the body's total serotonin is found in the intestine? That's mind-blowing. 95% is in the intestine, right? We think serotonin is a brain hormone. Well, sorry, it's not. It's a gut hormone, right? And also 50% of dopamine is produced in the gut. Also, the gut produces GABA. And of course, these play key roles in mood and emotions. So if we just look at a few symptoms of low serotonin or serotonin imbalance can cause mood changes and depression, feelings of sadness and hopelessness and anger, and chronic fatigue and anxiety and memory issues and sleep problems and sexual dysfunction and poor cognition and attention, gastrointestinal symptoms. These are symptoms of low serotonin. And so does it make sense simply to take drugs to influence neurotransmitter levels in our body to treat mental health, for example, and ignore the gut? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense at all, does it? But that's traditionally what we see done today. And I would argue that all those things may be beneficial. Again, we're not getting to the root cause, which is often the gut. So we talked about gut microbiota. The gut microbiome is formed by all those microorganisms that we just talked about, their genes, and their metabolites. That's what makes up the gut microbiome. So we have some 9.9 million microbial genes in the gut that interact with our body. They have been identified in the human fecal microbiome. So just think how huge this is. Our gut microbiome has 9.9 million genes. Okay, that's not our genes, not our human genes, right? The microbiome. those organisms, those microorganisms, that's their genes, 9.9 million. You know, it was not too long ago that the Human Microbiome Project was supported by the National Institutes of Health to map the human microbiome, right? Not our gut microbiome, the actual human microbiome, which went from like 2007 to 2016 to map the human microbiome. So guess how many genes we have, right? The human has. Our gut has 9.9 million genes. The human body only has 20 to 25,000. That's all the genes we have, right? 20 to 25,000. But our gut, 9.9 million genes that interact with our genes and have impacts on our body. I think that's huge. So the functions is our gut microbiome makes vitamins, including B12, vitamin K, folate. It teaches our immune system, right, to identify friend from foe. We want it to identify those viruses, right? We don't want it to identify our joints as public enemy number one, and now we're dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, right? We want our gut to teach our immune system what friend and foe is. It produces those important molecules, metabolites that travel around the body, defends against, of course, harmful microorganisms. It influences the calories we harvest, and like we talked about just a second ago, helps produce and balance neurotransmitters. So, went the wrong way. So the gut microbiome, and sometimes they call it the gut-brain connection. It's also called the gut-brain axis. But basically, if we have healthy gut function, we're going to have healthy central nervous system function. Okay. If we have abnormal gut function, guess what? We're going to have abnormal central nervous system function. So that can cause and lead to stress and disease, intestinal disbiosis, altered levels of inflammatory mediators, alterations in behavior and cognition and energy. And so we hear oftentimes about the gut-brain axis. That's something that people talk about a lot, but there's so many more axes in our body. There's a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gut axis. Say that 5 times fast. There's an immune gut axis. There is a heart gut axis, and there's a skin gut axis. Can you tell how important the gut is to connecting with the rest of our body and influencing our health in all of these many areas? So we've talked about the symbiotic relationship of our pre and probiotics to produce this amazing synergy. And we also combine, probably my favorite part of this product is the herbal formulation. I call it a detox blend. 530 milligrams of these amazing substances and superfoods, from blue algae to spirulina to shiitake mushroom and chlorophyll and moringa and chicory and mint and fennel and celery. 530 milligrams of that per sachet. And why do we need to detox, right? Why do we need these herbs in there? Let's see here.
Looks like the doctor's connection slowed down again. Apologize about that. In the meantime, there's a few questions that have been put in the chat and some comments as well. One of the questions is about the use of the product and asking about how often they should take it. Of course, the product comes in a 10-day packet, right? A 10-day box. And so it's actually tailor-made so that you can do 2 things. One, we do recommend initially taking it at least 30 days and all the way to 90 days using the product initially. And then from there, maintenance, taking at least a box a month. In other words, for a 10-day period during the month. And so we do recommend taking it that way. Once again, each body is different. And so we do recommend that you try it out. For example, some people take a packet a day. Others like to increase to whether it's 6 capsules or 8 capsules, which is essentially be 2 packets a day. Some take 2 in the morning, 2 in the night. There's 4 capsules in each one of the sachets. And so, feel free. Once again, these are nutritional supplements. And so they supplement your body. And each one of us, our diets are different, our bodies are different. And so it is important to take the time and focus on what's best for you. But we do recommend taking it at least 30 days. So that would be 3 boxes at least initially. And many, in my case, I take it now. I take a box a month because I've already been through a 90-day period at the beginning when I took it. And now I take a box a month and as maintenance. But once again, each body is different. Let's see. We've got Dr. Jeremy back on. Looks like he shifted around. Going to see if we've got a better connection now.
All right, let's change it up a little bit. So I'm still trying to connect through my computer that's not wanting to cooperate for whatever reason, which I have never had a problem until I try to share on our Zooms. So anyway, I'm going to go through my slides. If I get connected back on my laptop, great. If not, we'll continue out this way. And so I was talking about those herbal ingredients, right? And encouraging you to check those out, Google those ingredients. You'll be just amazed at what is in just the gentle detox blend. And Shane, am I right that when we started, we had just this combination in a product, right?
Correct.
And it was amazing. What was the name of it again?
Detoxify.
Detoxify. It was amazing, and it had this blend in it. And then came the formation of this amazing Synbiofy. And so we have, and why do we need to detox, right? When we think about our environment, we live in a very toxic world, this chemical, soup that we live in on a day-to-day basis of, things like endocrine disrupting chemicals. We have, the medications, heavy metals and pollutants, and pesticides, and all of these things that our body has to detox on a daily basis, right? And so this is another special part of this product. And the last thing that really rounds this up well is magnesium, right? Arguably the most important mineral to the human body. And I think it's amazing that they've thought to include this because in my practice, the 2 most common deficient nutrients is vitamin D, which they've added to our BioMS curcumin, right? And magnesium, which has been added to our Symbiofi. And so magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate diverse biochemical reactions in the body, including protein synthesis, nerve, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose control, and blood pressure regulation. So it can, low magnesium can cause things like fatigue and insomnia and muscle cramps and migraine headaches and depression and heart problems and constipation and osteoporosis. So the problem we want to solve is intestinal disbiosis. So what's that mean? Really, that's just a fancy word that means imbalance in the gut, right? Imbalance of your good guys to bad guys is called dysbiosis, right? When we have too many bad guys, right, and they are flourishing and having a party and a good time in there, suppressing our healthy beneficial bacteria, we get into a process called intestinal dysbiosis. And what causes that? Well, some of the same things we talked about, the pollutants, the chemicals, the medications, the drugs, the pesticides, the plastics, the hormone disrupting chemicals in our in foods, in cleaning products, in fragrances. All of these things interrupt that, right? And those alterations in the human microbiome are associated, and this is clinically proven. There's many studies that show alterations in the gut microbiome are associated with things like esophagitis and esophageal cancers, asthma and allergies, insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes and metabolic syndrome and obesity and rheumatoid arthritis, autism, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, kidney issues, inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancer, autoimmune disease. These are all things that are well studied that are caused by alterations in that human microbiome. All right. And besides and disbiosis, we also hear about leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut syndrome is, I often thought about the cartoon, right, where the cartoon character gets shot and then their water is coming out of there where they got shot. And I think of that with the leaky gut, like Looney Tunes, right? And leaky gut can be caused by some of the same things we mentioned, especially chronic NSAID use, ibuprofen use, heavy metals, traumatic brain injury, chemotherapy and radiation, a cesarean birth, hormone imbalance, chronic inflammation, and nutritional deficiencies can lead to leaky gut. Those are all history that can be exposed to that, right? In our diet, things like gluten can be problematic in a lot of people. Excuse me, things like nightshades can be problematic in many. Tomatoes and potatoes and eggplants and peppers can be a trigger for leaky gut. Too much sugar, right? Sugar isn't everything. An inflammatory omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, as well as those industrial seed oils, things like canola and sunflower and grapeseed and safflower and soybean oil are very inflammatory and hard on our gut. And lifestyle, like we talked about, environment and poor sleep, alcohol, chronic stress can lead to leaky gut. So what happens, and let's see here, if it's going to let me connect again on my laptop, maybe not. Okay, so this is the gut lining. When we're talking about leaky gut, we have this intestinal barrier right here, right? This is our healthy intestinal lining. These little projections here are called villi along our intestinal lining here. This is where our food passes through, right? And sometimes other not so friendly things. Where the cells come together here is called it's called a tight junction. And this tight junction keeps unwanted things from passing through that intestinal barrier, right, into the bloodstream, which is on the other side. So the things we talked about that can cause disruption in this intestinal lining cause these cells to release a protein called zonulin. And this zonulin protein tells the intestinal barrier it's okay to release and loosen these tight junctions, right? And so now we can see in this leaky gut situation here, these junctions aren't so tight anymore, right? And these villi get chewed up and they get inflamed. And we're not absorbing nutrients any longer. And now some of the food proteins are prematurely passing through into the bloodstream, and some of the other things that we're consuming are passing through into the bloodstream. And the immune system sees these foreign proteins, like, for example, gluten, and it says, you know what, I don't like that. I must be a bad guy. And so now every time we have gluten, right, we have some type of a symptom, or we have some type of a condition that flares up. The immune system along the way can think, you know what, that protein in that gluten kind of looks like that protein in her thyroid. And maybe it's a bad guy too, right? And now we're dealing with potentially something like Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition, right? The thyroid's confused, or the immune system's confused and now thinks the thyroid's a bad guy. And that's, as you see down here, is what happens with this compromised immune system from leaky gut, nutrient malabsorption, and increased risk for autoimmune disease. So when we talk about healing and supporting the human gut microbiome, we're talking about creating balance, the intestinal dysbiosis. We're also talking about leaky gut. So it's all about restoring balance in these areas. And this is what this product is amazing at. We have, of course, we've talked about the probiotics and the prebiotics, and I won't go into all the benefits, but you could study a very long time in the research about the benefits of Lactobacillus acidophilus, right? The literature is full of studies of the benefits of this important probiotic. And the same thing with the Bifidobacterium longum. We have so many benefits from this bacteria alone, and having adequate levels in that intestinal microbiota, right? And So when we talk about the prebiotics and the probiotics, right? So we have the prebiotics, which is the fiber that we talked about, that fiber blend, right? And we have fermentation of bacteria of that fiber blend by the probiotics, the healthy beneficial bacteria in our gut. And that produces these short chain fatty acids, which are called postbiotics. And these are made by the friendly bacteria, supported by the prebiotics, right? And that's how that comes together. And so these short chain fatty acid benefits, right, that are part of this chain of healthy function in the gut, again, well studied, full of literature on these short chain fatty acids. I won't go into all of them, but we have anti-inflammation and anti-obesity benefits, anti-diabetic, cancer, liver protection, cardiovascular protection, neuroprotection, gut, of course, inflammatory bowel disease treatment, immunoregulation. And these are all backed up by solid science, that when we support those healthy bacteria with the prebiotics to help them grow and support them, they produce these postbiotics called short chain fatty acids, which has so many health benefits on the body. To round it out here, of course, we have the prebiotics, postbiotics, herbal detox blend with supported levels of magnesium that round out this product to be, again, not a probiotic supplement, but a total GI restoration product, a total gastrointestinal reset product that will not only help digestion, will not only help elimination, but it's going to impact every facet of somebody's health. And some of you may have experienced this. I'd love you to drop it in the comments. But I've had patients where, I was quick to start them on our amazing BioS curcumin, right? Because we see such quick changes, such amazing results with our curcumin. But I've seen, after we've added the Synbiofy to round out that combination, they got better results even yet than when they just did the curcumin alone. I'm sure some of you have experienced that yourselves or have seen that with customers. I've certainly seen that many times because, again, curcumin has so many amazing benefits. And I often do talk about it all the time. But our gut, if we're going to ignore our gut, nothing else in our health is going to be adequate. So it's just simple. You take one sachet a day. I usually recommend either the first thing in the morning or at night before you go to bed. And I encourage you that if you've never tried this product, give it 30 days. And I promise you, if you give it 30 days, you're going to give it much longer than 30 days. In fact, I have patients, that we've been on it for a while, and we're like, okay, we could probably wean down just a little bit on this dosage. We maybe not need 4 every single day now that you've been taking this product for several months. And but I would have to literally argue with the patient to get them to reduce their dose because they're not having it. They feel too good. They're not stopping this product. And it's hard to even get them to reduce the dose of this product because it works so well. And final recommendations, of course, we've talked about how important the gut is, but it's part of a lifestyle, right? It's not a one product fixes everything approach. Diet, right? Diet is so important. Eating a clean diet, reducing those pesticides and reducing those chemicals and reducing those things in our environment, that exposure, drinking more water is so important. And then moving your body. We've got to move our body. And so that's all I have. Sorry about the hiccups. Sorry about the challenges there, but I hope this was valuable. And I hope that you realize how important this product is. And if you haven't tried it yourself, you have to. And I encourage you to share this with more people, more customers, and because it's definitely going to change their life.
Incredible. Dr. Thornton, thank you so much for your comments and for your insight. There's a couple of questions here in the chat that maybe you could help us with as well. Liz Sinclair is asking if, let's see, that jumped up. Can we stay on Synbiofy long term?
Absolutely. You could take this daily forever if that's what you wanted to do and you were noticing the health benefits of it. There's nothing in there that could be overdone, right? There's no toxicity. it is a long-term product, in my opinion. When does our gut become less important, right? In our health journey,
That's right.
when can we start to ignore our gut? After 3 months, after 6 months? No, our gut is important lifelong. And so, at some
Yeah.
level, I think this should be in your arsenal daily. It may not be 4 capsules every single day, but I always start people on at least 3 months of daily use, and then reassess, right? I have some patients, if their gut's doing great and we're kind of going more into a maintenance type of approach, and their health is doing great, we might reduce them to, instead of 3 boxes, which would be, so a box has 10 days worth, right? 10 sachets. And so a full month would be 3 boxes, right? 30 sachets. And so if we're doing really well, we might bring them down to just 1 box a month for maintenance. And how I usually do that was have them take a couple of capsules Monday through Friday, right? And that will get us through 4 weeks of Monday through Friday at 2 capsules every single day. Me, I prefer to do 4 capsules every single day still. So anyway, let's see here.
Good. Yeah, there's a couple, and thank you for sharing that. There's a couple other questions. One is asking, if you take it in the morning, how long should we wait to eat?
That's a good question. And really, I found out it doesn't really matter, right? I usually recommend to wait an hour after eating or after taking it to eat. But I really honestly have not seen it make a big difference. And if we overcomplicate it, we're likely not to take it, right? That's my experience. If we have to time it just right and we have to take it under special circumstances, and when the moon is in the right position, we're likely going to stop taking it and miss out on those benefits.
Great comments. Great comments. Let's see. We got another question here from Liz. Well, she's wanting it in New Zealand. I think that question is for me, Jeremy. So we're working on it, Liz. So we hope to have it there very soon. But it's a wonderful product in connection with our BioMS curcumin-based products as well. Let's see. And there's Lisa Heck is asking, how do you know if your gut is healed from leaky gut?
That's a great question. And we can do fancy testing, right? Where we can measure certain things in the gut, in either in the bloodstream. This protein I mentioned called zonulin, for example, will be elevated. And you can have that measured, but it's not necessary, right? If we're doing things like improving our health and our lifestyle, we're using amazing products like our BioMS curcumin, which by itself, I have a section that I cover about this, how just the curcumin alone helps to heal and seal that leaky gut. But when we're doing those things, it's just going to work, right? And so it's not necessary to do any fancy testing to have the proof of that. So
awesome. And one final question, and then we're going to wrap up from Leslie. She says, taking drops seem to help me with my bowel movements 3 times a day. Soft stool, she says, so would Synbiofy still help?
Absolutely. Sometimes there can be some detoxing going on with our amazing curcumin drops, and it's getting things moving right. It can impact our bowel movements. And so what I'll do is simply reduce the drops temporarily, for a few days of the curcumin, and then slowly work it back up again. And I've never had a case that didn't resolve with just a little time and slower progression on the drops. But of course, if we're more directly impacting the gut with this product, we're going to have even better results.
Awesome. Good. Well, Dr. Thornton, we really appreciate all your comments and appreciate everyone connecting on tonight. We want to remind everyone that we have our midway call coming up on the 15th, just like we do every month. So make sure that you're ready for that call. VIDAFYvoice.com, the same link that you used to get onto this call. Make sure that you join us to be on that call as well on the 15th, same great time. Okay. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you on future calls. Thanks again. Good night.